Hey Flosstube, my name is Lynn and this is my channel, Those Missing Stitches. Happy December everybody. Today is Monday, December 4th, and this is my Flosstube number 12. I am here to wrap up 2023, talk to you about everything I've worked on since my last video, which is not a lot in volume. I did get a lot of stitching done, but don't have a lot of pieces that I worked on. So I do have a couple of new starts and a restart. I have some whips that have been in my rotation that I'm going to show you updates on. I do have a pattern haul. I purchased some patterns from 123 Stitch, and then also there's a whole lot of, Black Friday and Small Business Saturday shops having sales, especially on Etsy over Thanksgiving weekend. So I did purchase some digital patterns as well. I do have a giveaway winner. On my last video, I did announce that I would give away a piece of fabric, and I did have the winner from the previous video end up contacting me, so congratulations, Adrian. I hope you like your fabric that you got. I will be picking one winner from this video, or that commented on the last video, that will win on this video a piece of fabric as well. And then I also have a Jingle Ball recap. I did attend the Jingle Ball this weekend. It was incredibly fun. It was well worth the money. I didn't take any classes. I really just sat in on some of the stitchy groups. I did more time, I think, on Friday night than I did like the rest of the weekend. I was kind of in and out, or I didn't get a chance to really sit and do a lot of stitching the other days. But I met so many people, so many wonderful stitchers out there, a whole lot of other Flosstubers. So it's really exciting to sort of meet them, virtually and actually talk to them in person and interact with them versus just seeing them on a video and having them talk to you. So I was also very excited because I did get to meet a lot of other people that are going to be at StitchCon Weekend A, and I am going to be at Weekend A in June of next year. So I'm very excited. I didn't know anybody that was going, and have met a couple people through the Facebook group for StitchCon, and now going through this weekend on Jingle Ball was a lot more people. So now I feel like I can put some faces to names. And thank you everybody who put Jingle Ball together through Lindy Stitches and through the other contributors. There was a lot of free patterns. There was just a lot of people attending and a lot of camaraderie, a lot of stitchy time, a lot of different groups, and just a really fun time. So I'd highly recommend it if you're able to attend next year. I think it happens every December. And I think it was only like $10 maybe to get an entry ticket, and you got in all weekend, and you could go to any of the stitchy lounges or any of the meet and greets with some of the designers. Those were kind of fun too. And then they had this thing called whip speed dating. So it was 5 minutes. They put you into a room with one other stitcher. You have 5 minutes, kind of introduce yourself, talk about where you're from, what you're working on. And then at the end of the 5 minutes, you just click a button. It basically kicks you out of the room, but then you can click a button and it'll say, I'm ready to meet the next person, and you go to the next person. So I met like 5 or 6 people doing one round of that, and that was really fun. So definitely Jingle Ball, highly recommend. Super fun time. Definitely open even if you've never done a retreat before or aren't even technically savvy. They had a lot of tech support available for people that were having some issues or didn't know where to go for things. Really, really well put together. So if you get an opportunity to go, definitely go to that next year. Okay, so that was Jingle Ball. Great way to start off December. Really exciting for stitching time, for, kicking off 2024 and ending out 2023. So let's get to what I've been working on. So for my new starts, one of the patterns I purchased, Lisa at Lost in Stitches, I'll link everything below, the patterns I talk about, and all of the Flosstubers I talk about. So Lisa at Lost in Stitches started designing, and she opened an Etsy shop that I think is called Lost in Stitches Shop on Etsy, and I'll link it below. She released a couple of patterns, and she showed them, I think, 2 videos ago. And I purchased those patterns over Thanksgiving weekend. And then she released another pattern last week called Christmas Band Sampler, and I'll put a picture up here. I'll show the other patterns that I purchased at the end when I talk about my haul. But this one I want to show now because it's one that I actually started. I wanted to start it right away. I've been itching to start something in like a cranberry red color on a fabric that I have in my shop called Darling David. And one of my customers kind of planted this bug because I did a floss toss for her, and I love the cranberry against the fabric so much. I said, I have to do this. So I was looking to find a pattern. So I ended up starting this yesterday. So Sunday, December 3rd. Worked on it for most of the day. Let's see, what did I get done? I started this on 18 count, Darling David from my shop. I'm doing it 2/1 full cross in DMC 814, and I did 1,052 stitches yesterday. And I absolutely love how that color is coming out and how easy it is to stitch, and it's fun. That is the full width of the whole sampler. And this, right in the middle of this, like 3 rows right here, is the middle working down. So it's not a huge piece. I think it's like maybe 7,000 or a little over 7,000 total. So this is like 15% or something that I got done in one day. So I'm really excited to get that one done. I did switch out. I think it called for DMC 816 and I wanted something a little darker. So I did switch it out for 814, but I think I'm keeping the rest of the colors that are in there. There's only 4. It's like black, this red, or a red, and then 2 greens. So I actually want to kind of focus on this in December, and I might be able to get it done so that I still put the 2023 date on there as when I finished it. That's probably overly ambitious because my calendar is crazy in December, but really, really liking working on Christmas stuff right now and loving working on this red on that fabric. Okay, so next, this is actually a restart for me. If you've been watching my channel for a while, I did start Kringles in the spring. It's by Little House Needleworks. And I started it on, I think, a Fiber on a Whim, like a creamy colored fabric. And when I got into the, it calls for Classic Colorworks eggshell, I believe, for the fencing and like the snow and some of the stuff in the motifs for like snowflakes. When I started stitching the eggshell on that Fiber on a Whim fabric that was really creamy, with eggshell, which is very ecru in color, there was really no contrast. So I really didn't like it. I thought, I want to start over. I thought about switching initially, just thought about switching out the thread for like a whiter color, and everything I put against it was still just too blendy. You wouldn't be able to see it. So I did decide to restart on a slightly darker fabric. I restarted it on Admirable Atticus. It's an 18 count from my shop that's a little more brown. And this is how far I've gotten. I still ended up switching. I'm still not using the eggshell. I ended up switching it out for 3865, which is a winter white. And I mean, it definitely shows up on there. So I'm happy I switched that out. I'm really happy with this fabric. I like how it's coming out. And it's kind of like a gray brown. Well, or brown gray. I don't know which way you would say it. It's more brown with a little bit of gray in it. And it's a paper chart, so I'm not completely sure. I scanned it and imported it, but I don't have it didn't pull in all the rows. So I'm not entirely sure. I'm trying to track stitching. I think I've done 1,265, but I have no idea if that's accurate or what a percentage it would be of the total count because I don't know the full count of the whole pattern. But another Christmas one I'm really excited to work on. This is the majority of, so I took this when we traveled for Thanksgiving. It's a 10-hour drive to my in-laws' house in Arizona. So I worked on it in the car for part of the way, worked on it while I was there. And then this is all I worked on for Jingle Ball. So got quite a bit done in only working on it for, probably 10 to 12 days total. So that one will stay out in, during December too, because I'm really enjoying working on the Christmas stuff. My next new start, this is probably thanks to Lisa at Lost in Stitches as well, because she's working on this one too and actually has a goal to finish it. Me, I'm the opposite. I started it. So this is Cirque de Caro by Ink Circles. I've had the pattern for a while, and I've had Silks for You PR094 that I intended to use on this. I just hadn't quite decided on the fabric. So I ended up, once Lisa showed it on her last one, I'm like, it just, on her last video, just jumped out to me, like, reminded me how much I really love the pattern, how much I really want to start it. So I decided I'm going to go through my fabric stash and see what I like that PR094 against. And I ended up deciding on 18 count Rugged Rochester, which is also from my shop. And I have gotten a total of 672 stitches done on this. So PR094 is like a green, blue, purple, variegated floss, or like a teal teal green to a blue to a purple. It's coming out really pretty. And then the Rugged Rochester is like a light gray. That's probably more the color of the fabric. That's probably more color accurate at that angle. So not entirely sure. I love the thread. I'm not entirely sure I'm loving it on this pattern, and I'm wondering if I want to go with more of a monochromatic color for this pattern. But now that I've pulled it out, I'm like, it was really pretty. So maybe I will continue. I don't know. I do have some more. I did order some more silks, and I do have some more silks coming. So we'll see if I may try something else on that one. My next new start, this one is thanks to Deborah Fields, my enabler, who started this one and showed it on Instagram, and I needed to have it right away. This is called Dasher and Dancer, and it is by Hobby House. I decided this is another one that I wanted to do on Darling David with a cranberry red color. I decided to start it on 28 count linen because I had it in my stash. And here is my little baby start. I have done a total of, I'm doing it 1/1 on 28 count linen, my first time ever using linen. And this is also DMC 814. I've done a total of 328 stitches. Now this one, I think it's beautiful as well. I just wonder, I kind of want to use a silk and not a DMC. So I did order some silks, and I'm kind of holding off on continuing this. I have plenty of fabric. I can flip it over and use the other side, or even cut this little piece off and start over if I wanted to. I want to try out some silks, maybe even a little bit more variegation to have a little bit more reddish cranberry. I haven't decided for sure. I still really like it, and I have no problem continuing with it, but I'm kind of holding off to see what the silks that I get, if there's another red that pops out to me that I might like working with the silk a little more. 1/1 with DMC is a little more difficult for me. Not my favorite. I'm okay with the linen. I think I still prefer an even weave, but I think on a sampler it's going to look really pretty on the linen. So I'm going to keep at it with the linen and see how that goes. So thanks, Deborah. I have another new start. Okay, so now I'm in my whips that I've been continuing. I will start with Night Circus Lovely number 7. The artist is Jessica Jackson and is charted by the Sewing Shop Inc. I am stitching this on 25 count easy grid Lugana. I'm doing this one 3/110 stitch. I was trying it just to see if I like the thicker, like fuller coverage, and I really do like it on the 25 count. I feel like it's fuller in the black and you're not seeing a lot of the fabric through it, which I appreciate. Didn't do a lot on this. I just worked on it for one day for a total of 499 stitches. And here's where I'm at this time. Now that I really just finished filling in the gray in here and starting on filling in the gray in her shirt. I am stitching this one in Extreme Cross Country by color. I finished 2 colors, and I think this $37.99 is my 3rd color. So not a ton of progress on that one, but I think she's coming back out, coming in the new year. Okay, next one is Away We Ride by Blackbird Designs. This one I started in November. I'd had it kitted up for a really long time and just hadn't started it. So here's where I was in the last video. I think I barely started it. And then since then I have, it's a paper chart, so I'm not able to capture the stitch count on this one either. I am stitching it on 18 count Admirable Atticus. Same thing as Kringles. That's from my shop. And here is where I am now. Did quite a lot on this one. Another one that I think before I traveled for Thanksgiving, I was working fairly monogamously on this one. So getting quite a lot done. I'd say I'm probably about halfway. And I learned my lesson from Sarah Stitchy Spot, who had started this one and did a bunch of stitching. And then she got to the point where she wanted to finish the frame and it wasn't matching up. So I finished the frame on this first, just to make sure that the whole frame matched up. So there is Away We Ride. Okay, that one's fun. I really like working on this one. I like working with the threads. I'm using all the called for threads on that one. Okay, next, this one's coming out so awesome, but I'm so behind. It's the Mugshot Villain Stitch Along by Abby Sue Designs. I am stitching this on 18 count Epically Evil Fairy Godmother. It's a fabric from my shop that I designed for this stitch along. Here's where I was in the last video. She's releasing one villain per week. So I'm 4.5. Since today's Monday, there'll be one that's probably out right now. So I'm 4.5 villains behind. But here's where I am now. Here's the whole thing. We're going to have 15 villains total. And then I'll zoom in on, let me fold that. I'm working on the Queen of Hearts right now, but I have finished the Evil Queen and the Wicked Step Monster. They come out really cool. There's a whole lot of fractional stitches and back stitching. I just think, which I like working on it. I just think it's Christmas time and like fall time, and I'm really not into the colors right now. I definitely see this one being more of a like spring, summer. It'll come back out for sure. I'm trying to track by villain how much I'm stitching. I think I've stitched about 1,734 stitches over 5 days since my last video. I'm not entirely sure because I'm not stitching some of the background. So some of the fractional stitches, I may have still done part of it, but not the other part because I'm not doing the background. So I'm not sure. Sometimes I'm not counting it. Sometimes I am. So somewhere around there. Okay. Next is The Perfect Love I Never Had. The artist is Adrienne Borda, and it is charted by Unconventional Cross Stitch. I am stitching this one also on 25 count Easy Guide Lugana 3/110 stitch. Here's where I was the last time I showed this in my video, and since then I think I just picked it up for one day. November I was in a very much in a 10 stitch mood for the first couple weeks in November, so this is one that I had picked up. Here's where I am now. I did an additional 533 stitches, really just working on some more, working in more of the brown towards the top. Plugging along ever so slowly. Okay, and next was the one that I really did a lot on during November. I was super, again, 10 stitch, really enjoying 10 stitch in November, and then really enjoying the purples and the blues. So this is Psychedelic Wonderland by NM Designs, and I believe it was on Tilton Crafts, I think. I'll double check that. It'll all be linked below regardless. Okay. I am stitching this one on 28 count Easy Guide Lugana, and this is 2/110 stitch. I'm okay with 2/1 on 28 count. There's still a little bit of fabric showing through, but it's not bad. So since my last video, here's where I was in the last time I showed this, and since then I have put in an additional 8,491 stitches. In total, here's where I'm at. In total, I have done 11,543 stitches for 12.83%. I love how this clock is coming to life. All the purples and the blues. This is a fun stitch and it's super easy. There's a lot of color blocking, but also spread out enough to make the pattern with like the tree roots and the numbers on the clock coming out really cool. Okay, so that's the last I had to show you of my whips. Next, I'll show you my haul. I did do an order from 123 Stitch. I got a couple patterns, and I was ordering a bunch of thread. So I got some patterns, and I got some fabric that I think I'm going to use for the Modern Folk Embroidery 2024 Stitch Along. But I'll start with the patterns. So this is the Winter Garden by the Drawn Thread. I love the Drawn Thread. So pretty for winter. I think I'm going to start this in January when I'm in the winter mood and Christmas is already past. Like really pretty. Winter Garden. Next I have Silver Creek Samplers called Introverted. I've seen this one. Several people stitch on this one, and this is totally my mantra. I am very introverted and very shy, but including at Jingle Ball, I found, I can talk about cross stitch all day, every day. and be like excited about it, and suddenly you're my best friend. So brings me out of my shell for sure. Then I have Bony Bunch by Plum Street Samplers. I thought this was a really cute smalls if I need a small exchange at some point. Might be my StitchCon smalls exchange or some other retreat, but we'll see. I want to do something really gothic, but I don't know. I don't want to get overzealous either. Then I did get a 25 count Silvery Moon Lugana. I think this might be what I use for the Modern Folk Embroidery Stitch Along for 2024. I haven't, it's got a slight, it's not quite white. It's got a very, very slight gray tint to it, but it's very minimal. It's at least just not white. And then I think I've decided on my colors. I think it's, I'll put a picture up here of what the mock-up of what I think I'm going to do. I'm just deciding between like a light blue and a darker blue, like more of a midnight blue. And then I want to kind of do a floss toss with the gray to see if the gray would even show up. So it might be too muted of a gray to even show up. And I could totally scrap it as I start to see other people picking their floss and get the silks that I ordered. I may end up with a color in there that I just love and do something totally different, but we'll see. A couple other patterns I got for the digital patterns. I did get Lost in Stitches. You saw the Christmas band sampler that I already started, but she also has several other really cute patterns. One is, and I purchased these, one is called Winter Snow, and then there's Winter Snow Minis. And there were some people in Jingle Ball working on some of these, and they're turning out so cute. Then I also purchased from Stitches So Beautiful, Boreal Forest and Woman in a Yellow Dress. And I will say, these are gorgeous patterns. She did post on Instagram that there was a customer had noticed a duplicate symbol on one of the patterns, and she was going through every single pattern in her shop and had pulled everything off her shop so she could do a quality control check on all of the digital patterns. And she's not selling any until she confirms that they're actually all quality control checked and there's no duplicate symbols. So if you have purchased from Stitches So Beautiful before, I'm probably not going to be able to, I can probably link her shop below, but won't be able to link the patterns because she's pulled everything from it. But be patient. She's been very sweet. I did find a duplicate on the patterns that I had purchased. We know what symbol it is, and she's going to fix it and email new ones to everybody, and then they will be posted back on her site. So if you've purchased from her before, maybe take a look at your patterns, maybe take a look at her site and see if they've been pulled down, or just check out for the email, because she will send you a new one if there is something that's wrong with it. Okay. And then I also purchased from Daily Patterns on Etsy. These are two designs by Happy Mood Point Cross Stitch Studio. And one is called Angels and Dragons Sampler. This one I think would be really cool with like a variegated floss. Maybe even that Pure 094 from Silks For You. And then I also purchased Floral Sampler. I thought this one was really pretty. I think Megan, the Seattle Stitcher, had this one on her last video, and I searched it out on Etsy and ended up finding it. So I'm excited to see that one. I also am part of Witchy Stitcher's Patreon group, and she's been doing Creepy Christmas, essentially, or Scary Christmas. I forget what she calls it. Darn it. But it's totally worth it. Daily ornaments for 12 days. Really cool, gothic, creepy, witchy, Christmas, cute, adorable stuff. And I know there's going to be something. There's already some things she's released on her Patreon group that I'm definitely going to stitch. And they're small, so they're manageable. And it's totally worth it subscribing to her Patreon if you're a fan of the Witchy Stitcher. So I highly recommend that one. And that is actually it for everything I had to share. I wanted to just shout out a couple of YouTubers that I did, or Flosstubers that I did meet at Jingle Ball this weekend, and thank you for such a good time. I got to meet Marjorie from Marjorie Made, Megan the Seattle Stitcher, Elizabeth from Frizzy Lizzy Stitches, Pridgeon the Museum Stitcher, Elizabeth from Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch, Hannah from Microbiologist Makes, Lauren from New Hampshire Stitcher, Michaela, Caitlin, Madeline, a lot of other people and a lot of other floss tubers that were in other groups and in other tables that I was able to sit at. It's too many to mention, so I apologize if I forgot you. But I was very excited to meet all of you, and thank you so much for, just being so welcoming and being so fun as a group to stitch with. Last but not least, I do have the giveaway from my last video. I asked everybody, what is your favorite fabric to stitch on? And I thank you so much for all of your responses. It was really cool to read all through them and see what a variety people like. And really exciting to know that I don't necessarily stitch on, high count linens or high count fabric at all, but there's still some people that do that and watch my videos. Even though that's not the example I'm showing, you still appreciate, I just appreciate that you're still watching my videos and enjoying my YouTube. So thank you so much. I realized after I started seeing some of the comments that I picked the word favorite and there's different spellings of the word favorite. So rather than using the keyword search for favorite, I just used FAVO so that it was open to anybody that commented either spelling. And the winner of the giveaway ended up being, and this is the YouTube handle, Donette O. I think it might be the local group Donette, but I'm not entirely sure. So Donette, if you could email me at thosemissingstitches@gmail.com, let's connect about getting you a free piece of fabric from my shop. My shop is currently closed for the holidays, so I don't have the color samples up at the time currently, but I will have it open in the next couple weeks to have some color samples for you. And you can pick what you want, and I will send it out to you. So please contact me at my email, which is also linked below. Thank you, everybody. I will probably not be back until the new year with a new video. I hope everyone has a happy holiday, whatever it is you celebrate or don't celebrate. Sending you lots of hugs and warm wishes, and a happy holiday and a happy new year. See you next time. Bye.